forth onto when I want to start this video, and I decided I'm just gonna start it now. So the first book we are reading for this video, because I love my Kindle, as we all know, because there's so many books here on Kindle, obviously, that I want to read. If I like get them all out of the way now and I'll be like Kindled out, that I'll be able to focus on my physical TBR. I decided to start it now so that I can get through all the books that I want to read on my Kindle, so I can read some other books, because I've just been like stressing about it, okay, for like no reason. On Kindle Unlimited, there are certain books that you can actually listen to the audiobook through the Kindle app, which is amazing, great, awesome. Especially if you don't have Spotify Premium or if you don't have Audible, this is a great way to be able to like also listen to books, especially if you like them. I think I'm just gonna decide what books I want to read as I go. I do already have a few in mind that I want to read already. So, but the first one actually that we are gonna start off with, and this one's really gonna like, this one's I feel like gonna be a soul kicker. We are actually gonna start with Night Road by Kristen Hanna. I've never read a Kristen Hanna book before, and I've never heard anything about this particular book, Night Road. The only thing I do know is that it follows like, it seems like a single mom, 2 children, and having to like navigate their life and stuff like that. So I'm not too exactly sure. I'm really glad that it comes on audio though, because a lot of her stuff reads more as like women's fiction, and I'm not just like a fiction girly, you know, like reading it to me is just like not that interesting, but like listening to it, I feel like I would be able to like get it more, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna start off with this one for the sole purpose of the fact that like I have a few things that I want to do before work, like cleaning the house wise. I'm like, ugh, I wish I had an audio book to listen to, but I wasn't starting this video, and now I've decided I'm starting this video and I don't care. Even though I'm in the middle of a different book, which I will read that as well in this video, maybe to give myself a break if it's too emotional, because I know all of Kristen Hanna's books are emotional, and I don't know how I feel about that. I'm currently reading Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver, so I'm gonna also include this book in this video, but it wasn't originally part of my plan because this book is basically always available on Kindle. It's mostly books I like to include in these videos are books that I don't think are going to stay on Kindle Unlimited for very, very long, so that you can just like watch them so that you can read them before they get taken off for basically free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So yes, and let you know if they're good or not, and if you should even read them, you know, or if they're worth it, type of thing. I am gonna start Night Road by Kristen Hanna. I'm excited. There's actually 2 of her books here on Kindle Unlimited, which is awesome. I've never heard of either of them, honestly. They're not her most infamous books, I feel like. Okay, I'm gonna go listen and start this book. Hello you guys, a little update. Sorry, that was like really cheerful for no reason. I have been listening to Night Road by Kristen Hanna all morning basically, and I am really enjoying it. But before I get more into that book, I want to tell you guys that I did finish Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver last night, and I'm just gonna include it in this video because it is a Kindle book that I was reading and I already completed the one book. Anyway, so I did finish Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. I liked it, but I didn't like love it, if that it does make sense. It's literally the definition of making sense, considering I said I liked it, but not loved it. I couldn't have made it clearer. I don't know what it is about this series it just like doesn't hit as well. Like, I liked this one a lot better than I liked Wild Love, the first book in this Rose Hill series. I didn't really like Ford or Rosie in the first one. Like, they were okay, like they were fine. I did love West and Skylar though, like separately as characters, and I did like them together, but I don't know, like the interactions and the communication and like the situation, I was kind of just like, huh? Like, I don't know, it didn't confuse me, it just seemed so unrealistic, but trying to make it very realistic and like serious, if you know what I mean. This book just reminded me of a really spicy version of like When in Rome, basically. Like, When in Rome, she's a pop star and he owns a pie shop. In Wild Eyes, West owns a ranch, basically, which is not like I guess not, you know, whatever. West owns a ranch and he's like a horse trainer, and Skylar is a pop star. Like, the way that they interacted with each other right off the bat, not within that first chapter, because that one kind of made more sense, but like after the fact, I was kind of like, this doesn't really like make sense, because like it's just is like too quick, you know? Like, this book was over 400 pages. Why was it that quick to be getting the way that they work? You know? When in Rome, something I love about Sarah Adams, not to talk about another book, but just to give the comparison of like what I'm saying. Sarah Adams really plays into like the ridiculousness and like cheesy goofiness of her books, or I feel that way personally. Like, it's so unrealistic that she like adds in things to make it even more unrealistic, to play into the cheesiness of it, to make it seem kind of like it's like a Hallmark movie. You know what I mean? Like, she does that very, very well. Whereas in Wild Eyes, I felt like it was really cringy and cheesy the way things were, but it was trying to make it like this is like realistic and serious. I mean, I did like them and I liked their story. I liked them together too. Like, they were a really cute couple. And I got a thing for cowboys, apparently, because West, chef's kiss to West. He's a cowboy. Got a thing for cowboys. I don't know. I did enjoy this one. I didn't love it though. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where it just feels cringy because it's just like, that's so unrealistic, but you're not playing into the cheesiness of it being unrealistic. You know what I mean? But when they don't play into it, that's what makes it even harder for me to read, because they're like, you know, I like this. I will save my rating till the end because keep you on your toes. Let's talk Night Road by Kristen Hanna real quick. I'm really, really liking it so far. I really love the narration. Whoever this woman is who narrates this book, I'm pretty sure she does most of the narrations for the Kindle audiobooks, because she narrated, I'm almost positive, it sounds just like the same woman. It might not be, they might just have like really similar voices, but she narrated the other book that I listened to on Kindle Unlimited that I really, really enjoyed. And I also really like her voice, because I'm really weird about voices. Like, I won't watch certain YouTubers if I don't like their voice, and I won't listen to like certain songs or like audiobooks if I don't like the way the person speaks. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but that's how I am. But I do like her voice. I really like the story so far. The story is following a mom and a young girl, or like a high school girl. So the mom, Jude, is kind of like a helicopter parent and very kind of overbearing on her children. She just like loves them so immensely and she wants the best for them, so she feels like she has to like be so involved with their life. And then the teenage girl, her name is Lexi, and she's actually best friends with Jude's daughter, Mia. Mia is very, very like anxiety driven and doesn't have any friends other than Lexi, and she's very attached to her. And then so Lexi is like trying to navigate her life now after basically being in the foster care system for a really long time, and then finding out that she has an aunt that she then goes to live with, and she actually has given her like a really great life up until this point. And I don't think she's not gonna give her a great life because she's a senior in high school, so she, you know, either way. But it's basically following this journey of this family and this girl who has then been accepted into this family and basically part of the family through this journey. So I'm not super far into it right now. I'm only on chapter 10. I'm 34% into the book. It's in third person, so it's told in multiple POVs. I have, like I said, never read a Kristen Hanna book before, so I don't know how her other books are or kind of sound. I don't know anything else about this book other than the fact of like what I've heard. I didn't really read too much onto it. I know she writes a lot more of like historical women's fiction. This one, it takes place in the 2010s. So like it's not historical fiction at all. I really feel like it's just like a coming of age journey of this woman and this young girl and how they navigate life, like how they feel or how their lives have been so similar, but like their environments have been totally different because she's a helicopter parent to her children based off of the way that her childhood was, because her mother was not anything related to that. And then Lexi's, you know, mom was in and out of her life and was like a flight risk and like she never had any stability type of thing. I don't know if I'm giving you too much information, but either way, that's my update. I need to stop rambling before too much because yeah. Either way, like I said, I really like it so far. It's not a book I think I would be super interested in if I wasn't listening to it. Like reading it, I feel like I'd be kind of bored. But like I am very much enjoying listening to the audiobook version of the book. I think I'm gonna try her other books too after this one if I continue to like it, because I know those ones are like gut-wrenching and like heartbreaking. I have a feeling that this one's not gonna be kind of like that, or at least like not to the extent of some of her other ones are. So I guess we'll see though. I'm only 34% way into the book, so we will see. This one is less than 400 pages. I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. I think I might pick another book too. I think I want to continue listening to that one. I don't know if I really want to go back and forth in between because I feel like some things will get lost like within like me reading it. Maybe if I like feel bored reading, I don't know. Either way, like I said, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna listen to it some more and maybe pick out another book. Do you remember how like 20 minutes ago I said it wasn't gonna be emotional? I lied. Just know that about 40% into this book you're gonna cry. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just super emotional about it. I don't know. Yeah, 40%. Just before 40% mark. Remember that. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to say. You guys, I just finished Night Road by Kristen Hanna. It was so good. It was so good. Like, I literally didn't want to put it down the entire time that I was reading it. It's so deep and emotional in like so many ways, and I really feel like this is a great book for any age, honestly, like moms and like teenagers to read, and like obviously people like my age, like, because it's just so thought-provoking in like the way that like people see themselves and like who they want to be and like who they become after, you know, like maybe certain tragedy or certain trauma. Like, it's just like the way events can like change you as a person, and it's just like, it was so good. You guys, it was insanely good. I'm gonna like sit on it for a while. I'm not gonna give you guys my rating yet, obviously, but I don't know if it gave me that 5-star feeling, but I really loved it. This one is definitely, I want to say, I haven't read another Kristen Hanna book, but I can confidently say though, I don't think that this book particularly is like as emotional as some of her other ones. Like, her other ones definitely make you like cry. Like I said, haven't read any of them yet, so, but based off of what other people say, watched a few booktubers who have read a variety of her books, not even just like the same one, like they've all read different books that I've seen, and they all said that they cried during those ones. And this one I also cried, if you remember. I feel like this one isn't as emotional in that way. I'm gonna pick out another book now. I don't know what kind of read I'm actually in the mood for now, because that one was so emotional in like a weird sense, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like so emotional, but like, you know what I mean? I just don't know what I want to read next. So I think I'm gonna like go through and decide. I had picked out a few books that I knew I wanted to read for this video. We'll see how I'm feeling and what I decide to go with for this next book. It actually didn't take me that long to decide what book I was going to read next. I actually decided to read was A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I've heard amazing things about this book. This book was really popular like a few months ago, and I had been really wanting to read it. The storyline seems very, very interesting, so I am excited to start it. Hey you guys, so it is a little bit later from the last clip you guys just saw, and I am now 58% into A Flicker in the Dark. So far it's really good. It's interesting and the story is super interesting. The only thing so far is that like I kind of already know like what the twist is gonna be. Like I feel like she made it really, really obvious. And if it's not this person, then I will be surprised because like granted, I don't know, maybe it's like everything like leading up to it, like it's supposed to make it look like it's obvious that it's this person, but like I can't see it playing out any other way. Like I have one other theory, but like I'm kind of convinced that that's not it. I don't know. That's the only thing that's like tripping me up because I am actually really, really liking the story, and I really am liking to see how like everything's gonna unfold, especially if I already know who it is. Then I'm like, well, how is this gonna play out? Like how is it gonna unfold? You know what I mean? I really like seeing that. I didn't like that I guessed the twist already. We'll see. Because like I said, I don't even know if this is actually the twist or not because I'm only 58% of the way in and the way everything is playing out. But basically, if you guys don't know what this is about, like I didn't read the back of the book. The only thing that I did know about this was that like her dad ended up going to prison because he murdered 6 girls. Coming up on the 20-year anniversary of her father's like arrest or like sentencing, or 20-year anniversary of this things happening, of him doing this, right? More girls are now going missing. Same MO, okay? Same MO, same everything, like the type of girls, the age of the girls, the like little like signatures that they call it, you know, like if you've ever seen Criminal Minds, you would know what a signature is because I do. Like the signatures and stuff like that are all the same as her dad's. So she's just like, what the heck is going on? Because her dad's still in prison. Like her dad is never getting out of prison. He's away forever. The same thing starts happening and she's like, what the heck is going on? So it's bringing up all these old feelings and all these old anxieties. And it's not even that she's trying to figure it out in a sense. She's just kind of like confused and really wanting to know what's going on as to why this is happening, considering she doesn't live in that town anymore. It is very interesting and I'm very intrigued to see like how it plays out. I'm really liking it. We'll see how it goes. I should honestly be able to finish it today depending on my day. It is very beautiful outside. Me and Michael, we do have plans, and I do have plans later. So I should be able to like get a decent amount done. If I can't finish it today, I definitely will end up finishing it tomorrow and then starting a new book tomorrow. Hello guys, it's the next morning and I actually finished A Flicker in the Dark last night, and I'm surprised I finished it as quickly as I did because like literally when I came home after having plans with my friend, I still had, I think I was just past the 50-ish% mark, maybe almost 60% of the way into the book, and I literally finished it. It was like so quick paced. Like the ending of the book really unraveled. Like I literally didn't want to stop reading. Like I was kind of like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like I just had to finish it. I personally think it was really good. I've heard some mixed things about this book in particular, and I think maybe one of her other books, All the Dangerous Things, are kind of mixed, and I think it's because the way that she writes the books. This is the first book I've ever read by her, so like I don't necessarily know like her exact writing style yet. Like I get a gist of it. She does a very good job of like tricking you into thinking like you know who the plot twist is going to be about or who you think did things like that. I will say that my very, very first theory, like from right in the beginning of the book, like I had read maybe like I think a few chapters. Oh, I know who it is. Like it was just like one specific thing that I was like, oh, I know exactly who it is. But then she does a really great job of making you like second guess who you think it really is, because then all these other things start happening and you're kind of like, wait, Wait a second. So she does a really good job of like teetering you or like distracting you from what's really happening. And then also, so I had multiple theories while I was reading the book. My very first theory I was correct on. My second theory that I was like gun-ho, like no, this is what's gonna happen, I was wrong about, because that's the way it just was. I was just wrong about it. But then I had like a little inkling of another theory during another conversation that the main character was having, and I was like, huh, that's suspicious. But I was like, okay, that one's probably far-fetched. But like I said, she does a great job of distracting you from what's really going on. So I really liked it, honestly. It was really interesting. I was entertained the whole time. It's such a quick read. And I personally liked the writing style of it. And I really liked the way that the mystery unfolded. Like I said, like if I can, like I don't have a problem necessarily with guessing the plot twist. It's more of like, if the plot twist that I guess is good enough, it makes me want to figure out how everything is going to unfold and like what else is going to happen that we get to this point. Even if I know who it is, I'm kind of like, well, I want to know because of all these other things that are playing out right now and like all these other like, you know, things happening that they talk about. I'm like, okay, well, like how did we get from A to B or A to Z for the end of this book? You know what I mean? So I really like that. If it's an entertaining premise, even if I guess the plot twist, I'll still keep reading it because it's still entertaining me and I still like seeing all the things that come uncovered throughout the story. Anyways, I really liked it. It's time for me to pick another book. I don't know what I want to read yet. I don't know. I'm gonna take the time to decide and then I will get back to you guys when I actually end up reading it. So yeah, I probably won't have much time to read today unless it's like right before bed, but I will let you guys know when I decide on my next book. Hello. Oh my gosh, you guys. It has actually been so long since I've updated you. It's been a few days actually, because the past 2 days I wasn't able to read anything because I was doing a whole bunch of work and things like that that just took more priority over reading. I haven't been able to update you. Big purpose of this type of video, especially like reading 7 Kindle books for 7 days, is to like really read books that are more out of my comfort zone, like ones that very interest me, that I know are super popular, that I also don't know like how long they're gonna be on Kindle for, so that like I can tell you guys like, hey, this is a book you definitely should check out like before it leaves the Kindle Unlimited app, you know what I mean? Basically this whole video has been me reading books that I wouldn't necessarily normally read. Well, that's a lie because I read a thriller book and I really do love thrillers. But anyways, that's not what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about the book that I'm reading, and that is The Lost Bookshop. I have actually been listening to and reading this one. The times that I was able to read it, it was like for maybe like an hour in the evening and stuff like that, but I've mostly just been listening to it. Let me just say, I prefer listening to this book rather than reading it. I think if I were to continue just reading this book, I wouldn't really like it and I would maybe possibly DNF it because the pacing of it is really slow, but the storyline is very interesting and I actually love it when I'm listening to it. But reading it physically like is just so slow because of the pacing that it's just like, I don't know, it's just like not, like the pace isn't fast enough for me to stay interested in it. You know what I mean? From the audiobook, it says that I'm 70% of the way through it. Let me check on my Kindle. Let me see how far I am on my Kindle. Yeah, so on my Kindle, I'm about like 65% of the way through. A pretty good chunk in. And like I said, I'm definitely enjoying this more in the audio version than I am physically reading it. This book is like magical realism and like slash historical fiction slash like women's fiction. It's like, it's got so many like subgenres in it that I feel like that it's like it definitely could appeal to multiple audiences, especially because of its like multiple type of genres that it can fall under. So it's definitely under the like general umbrella of literary fiction. Okay, basically The Lost Bookshop is about legitimately a lost bookshop. It takes place in 2 different timelines. It takes place within the present timeline as well as the timeline in 1920. In the 1920s timeline, it follows one character named Opaline, and then in the present timeline follows 2 different characters named Martha and Henry. That Henry is this rare book collector or this rare like scholar like type of thing, and he is searching for this lost bookshop that apparently was owned by this notorious rare book collector or rare book trader person. I don't remember exactly what the term is called. Opaline Carlyle. And that is who we're following in the 1920s timeline. And so in the 1920 timeline, you really see her journey of like how she's getting from A to B, from like the information that you know from like what Henry's saying, and then the information you're getting in the 1920s timeline. And then Martha and Henry become like unlikely friends. Essentially, the house that Martha lives at is supposedly the old address for this lost bookshop, and that's how her and Henry meet. And then all these weird things start happening in this house, and she's like, maybe I should tell Henry about this. So it's really about this like really beautiful magical realism journey of like these 2 unlikely people becoming friends and like going on this journey together to help him figure out what has happened to this lost bookshop. And then you are getting the past timeline of Opaline as she's like going through these stages and like what has happened to her. And Henry's also trying to figure out like what has happened to her in her life, in Opaline's life. So yeah, it's like really interesting story, and like I said, I'm really enjoying it so far. But like I said, I think physically reading it is just not my cup of tea. Like just it's a slow moving story where I felt like when I read I think I read like 6 chapters one night, and I was just like, I feel like I should be even farther in the book than this, because some of the chapters, if you're not in Opaline's timeline, the chapters can be very short. Like Opaline's chapters, I definitely would say are the longer ones, because so much has to go on within this time span that you're within her point of view. Martha and Henry, they are within the same timeline and are friends, so like the timeline can be moved along in a shorter period of time with Martha and Henry's point of views. But either way, like I said, it's really good so far. I really like it. There's not much magical realism happening yet. You're getting a little bit of it in both timelines, which is really cool. You're really just like following this journey of all these people and how they are going to intertwine in the end. I just really like it. It's just like really like cozy book, if that makes sense. Like if it's a fall day outside or like a chilly rainy day, this would be like a nice cozy book to curl up with and read. Well, with that being said, I have to get ready to go to work, so I'm gonna stop reading for now, but I'll update you guys I guess later, and when I finish the book or something.
Behind the stained glass windows of the shop, the colours of which now painted the image of a bird and an open cage.
Friends, I finished The Lost Bookshop earlier this morning when I was baking, as you guys saw earlier. I actually loved this book. I thought it was really like almost like this very like whimsical idea of a book. It's so weird because the magical realism in the book, I feel like doesn't really happen until way later. But then as you're getting into the story, you're kind of like realizing like all this magical realism that's around you within the story that you're not even like picking up on until you get to a certain point in the book and you're like, wow, okay, like now I understand. I ended up really liking it. I really enjoyed all the characters too. It was like reading about someone's life that you're then finding out with these people as well. I'm really bad at describing books, as if we don't know, because I've literally talked about this so many times. Like literally when it comes to me trying to talk about this book, everything about this book leaves my brain. this was definitely very different from other books that I usually read. Like, I've never really read a book like this. This is definitely more on the literary fiction side of reading compared to a lot of the other books that I tend to read, which end up being like romance, romantasy, fantasy books, things like that. I really liked learning about like what it was like to be like a book dealer or like a rare book dealer or rare book scholar. I don't know exactly, but like that element was thrown in there within multiple of the characters. But in the end, you know, I really did enjoy it. I actually, because like I said before, I know I said earlier in this video, like it was definitely a book I rather would have listened to. But after I got to a certain point and like so far in, I was actually so enthralled with the characters and the story that reading it was still just as entertaining as listening to them. I think I really enjoyed listening to it because they all had like their accents. I swear one of them had like an Irish what am I saying? An Irish accent, but maybe not. Maybe they all had an English accent, just different from different regions of England. Like their accent changed obviously, but I just really liked the concept and the aspect of this book. It's definitely like book lovers coded, because especially if you love like classic literature, the characters are really obsessed and really involved and really love like the classic literature and like finding lost manuscripts or finding just like little tidbits of information or little tidbits of things about these really famous authors that they could find, you know, that involves like their world and that involves like why maybe they wrote this book, or like if they were thinking of working on another idea, or like a letter that they wrote to somebody else. And it was just like really cool to read about and to see, because like I don't know if that's like a real thing, like if that's like how rare book dealers or like rare book like scholars, specialists and things like that, people, you know, that's something that they do. I imagined it is to an extent. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this story. Like if you love books, I think that this is great. You know, they're looking for a lost bookshop. I really love to see how they all were connected in the end. That was just super, super cool and super fun. And yeah, I just ended up really loving all of these characters. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it yet, because like I said, I really did like it, but I don't know, it just doesn't give me that like superstar feeling, if you know what I mean. Like a superstar feeling. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like, you know what I mean? It just didn't give me that like jaw-dropping wow factor, like obsessed. I did really like it, but am I gonna think about it afterwards? I don't know. That's the thing. I think if you're someone who does love classic literature, like this is gonna like hold a little bit of a special place, because it's like this one character, she's learning about all these classic people from this one guy who's this rare book collector or this rare book scholar, whatever he is, I don't know exactly. And then when you're in the past timeline, you're learning about Opaline, who is like this woman trying to make something for herself because she's from the 1920s, is owned by a man, and she can't do anything with her life because that's all she is. She's literally a man's property, and she's really trying to like go and make a name for herself, have a life on her own for like, and doing what she loves. And seeing that journey was just really cool, and I really liked that aspect of it, to watch her grow and like really evolve and try and be her own person. That's it for that. I actually have already picked my next book. Let me get it up. I think it's called, I know what it's called, Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. Have never read anything by Olivia Blake before. The name feels like such a tongue twister, even though like I feel like it shouldn't be, like Olivia Blake. There we go. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. Olivia. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this book. I know a lot of people love this author. They wrote the Atlas 6 trilogy. It's on my TBR, have yet to read that, and it's been on my TBR for who knows how long. I would love to read it this fall. It does give such like a fall feeling, the magical realism that's in it, and I feel like this book as well has a lot to do with magical realism. I could be wrong. I do not remember the synopsis. I read it very briefly. Like I said, I don't really read the synopsises of books or like the back of books or anything like that. It is a love story, so that's something different than the past few books I've read. I mean, there's been like romance in the other books, but it wasn't like the main plot line. It was just a kind of like a subplot. I don't know what it's about. I just know these two people meet, and that's about it. So I am currently editing, so I will reach back out. I will literally just tell you guys when I start that book. Hello you guys, I feel like I look like a hot mess. I am really tired. So yeah, anyways, I'm just here to update you on this book. Alone with You in the Ether. I am 22% of the way through this book. And let me tell you, the chapters, they're long. They're so long. For a book that's 250 pages, I am literally like, this is moving at a snail's pace. If that doesn't tell you anything. I don't know, I feel like I want to like DNF it, but I don't know. It could be like a me thing and like the way I'm feeling right now, but I don't know how I'm feeling about this book. It's called, obviously, as I just said, Alone with You in the Ether. It says a love story, but part of me is kind of like, where's this love story coming in? Because the characters are very, in a way, odd, and I don't necessarily know what that like means or like the way to describe them accurately. Like, they're just very odd characters, and like the way that they act and the way that they talk is just not very natural, but I think it's meant to be that way on purpose because of the way that the characters are described to be. But I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. I'm 22% of the way in. It's taking me forever. Like I said, the chapters are long. They're actually only told in parts, so the book is like 250 pages. There's only 6 parts in the book, so the first part of the book was literally an hour long. I get to part 2. It goes 2 hours and 15 minutes. I said 2 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, yeah, like I gotta have shorter time frames than that. I don't know what it is, but that's comforting about the time frames being so much shorter. You know what I mean? Like a 5-minute chapter, like 5 minutes left in this chapter. Like, oh, that's so comforting. Even though I could literally sit and read the same amount, like 2 hours and 15 minutes worth of it, but in smaller increments, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean? You have to know what I mean. Anyway, that's just my update on this book. I don't know if I'm gonna DNF it. I think I'm gonna try and like muscle my way through this second part. And then if it's still not hitting, I'll probably DNF it. So let's see, how much longer do I have in this part? An hour and 24 minutes. If I'm not liking it after an hour and 24 minutes, I will in fact probably DNF it. Hello, you guys. I look kind of like a hot mess, so please ignore it. Last night was reading Alone with You in the Ether. I'm not almost done with it, but like I'm 60% of the way through. I'm on part 4. So far, I can't tell if I'm just too stupid to understand this book of what's going on, or if it's just like the way it's written, because I think it's the way it's written for a big majority of it. So like the premise of the book and the characters and like why the way things are happening is like they're both like severely mentally ill. Which like I knew, but like they don't portray them as like mentally ill kind of thing, like, or she doesn't write them that way, but like it's talked about within like their characters and then like beforehand and then like what like some of the things they're doing like that they go through and like, but you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So like the characters themselves are just very odd to me, at least. Like the way that they're written is very odd. Like they don't feel like real people. I don't know exactly. Like I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, so I just like can't tell if I'm just too stupid for this or if it's like just the way it's written. I think it's the way it's written. I don't know. I feel like though I should just finish it. I'm already in I'm in part 4. There's only 6 parts, so I only have 2 left, but this part is 44 minutes. I'm on page 165 and there's only like 260, like I said, so like I really don't have that much longer left. I think I only have about like 2 hours of it left, but part of me is like, I just want to read something that's like more fun and upbeat. So let me see if I can get through this, and if I'm feeling like dragging and tired, I'll switch, because I know exactly what book I'm gonna switch to. And I already know I said that I would DNF it if it wasn't interesting, but like, I don't know. It's not that it wasn't interesting, but I don't know. I don't even know if I'm enjoying I don't even know if I'm enjoying it. So we'll see, I guess. I think I'm just more interested in like the characters and the story of like what's going on and like trying to figure that out. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna read this part. It's only 44 minutes. It's only 44 minutes. Okay, it's a little while later, probably as you can tell. I finished Alone with You in the Ether, and I think I'm just dumb. I really don't want to talk about it too much, because I've already talked about this book I feel like enough. I don't know why this book moved so slow, but it did. I think I'm just stupid. I don't know. I really don't know. It's not gonna have any imprint or impression on my brain. Probably should have just DNF'd it instead of wasting my time reading it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't, if that makes sense. Like, I kept going because I wanted to figure out what was happening and what was gonna go on. In the end, now looking back, I should have just probably DNF'd the book because I'm at the same point where I was when I said I was probably going to DNF the book, and that is just lost. I'm done talking about that book. Anyways, I picked my next book, and the reason I'm reading this one, because it's something I didn't even realize. I need something happy and fun and upbeat, and that's just going to be a silly goofy time, okay, after that. I'm reading Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, starting the series. I'm very, very excited. I look like coconut head right now. I'm so sorry. And you know what? A little trick I guess I just learned. If the book is in your library, even after they take it off Kindle Unlimited, they'll still let you read it for free. Because this book is not on Kindle Unlimited, but let me tell you, I've had this book in my Kindle library for God knows how long. So long. Oh my God. And I was like always wondering, I was like, damn, this first book is still on Kindle Unlimited while the other two, or while the second one didn't get put on there. Like, that's crazy. No, to find out that it's not actually on Kindle Unlimited, because I looked it up, but they still let you read it. So if there's a book that's about to be taken off Kindle Unlimited that you want to read, put it in your library so that they can't take it off, and then you could just read it for free when you're able to. So love that for me. I'm gonna read this. Hopefully it's a silly goofy time. I love me a cowboy romance, and I heard really great things about this book, okay? I'm already like bursting with joy, and hopefully it goes, oof, I almost dropped it. Hopefully this one goes a lot better. This is only like 290 pages as well, so that's superb, which means I'll be able to eat it up quick, hopefully. Hopefully I'll be able to eat it up quick. These just remind me of like old Western movies, like the little covers. I just love that. I think that's the point probably. Anyways, I'm like exhausted just from reading that book. That book drained me as a person. I'm gonna get to reading this book. Hopefully it's worth my while. And then I will only have one more book left. So we'll see how it goes. It is the next day. I'm loving this book. This book is so fun. It's so cute. I am now, let's see, how far did I get into this book? I think like 70%. Yeah, 76% of the way through this book, so I literally don't have much left. I'm gonna try and finish it now, and then I wanna go to the gym so I can start my next book, but listen, okay, there was a quote in this book that literally had me laughing, and I was like, why is this me? I don't wanna say I've never related to anything more, but I heavily related to the female main character, Emmy, in this statement. It goes, being an adult with sensory issues was a weird thing. How could I tell someone that if I touched a piece of chicken while the music was too loud and I could hear somebody breathing, it would send me into a spiral? I have never heard anything more me in my life. Okay, literally, like, I didn't realize, like, I've always known I've had sensory issues, like, since I was younger. Like, I have, like, okay, this is gonna sound really weird. I have this weird aversion to construction paper. I cannot touch it, otherwise it makes my skin crawl. Sensory. So, literally, I was just like, wow, I've never felt more heard. I have never felt more heard in my life than by this girl. Now, to say that like not this exact situation would happen, but let me tell you, if I was touching chicken with the music too loud and someone was breathing, if I was having like kind of a roughish day, that would certainly send me into a spiral. Like, I would be in so much overload, like, and I can get into a sensory overload pretty quickly, but like if something like that happened, I'd probably be okay for the time being. But if I was having like a rough go out of it that day, that would legitimately send me into a spiral, without a doubt. I think I would be on the floor screaming. The conclusion of this story was to tell you that I have sensory issues. Anyways, I'm absolutely loving Done and Dusted. Okay, this was just what I needed after Alone with You in the Ether, because yeah, like that book just literally was like, what is going on? This, no brain power, so cute. It's such a good romance, okay? The characters, it's like brothers, best friends, and like slight enemies to lovers. Like, it was very little enemies to lovers. Like, it was like maybe the first 5% of the book. Then they weren't enemies anymore, like, you know. But no, like, so good. I love me a cowboy romance. What can I say? what can I say? I love me a cowboy romance. So to say that I'm enjoying this is an understatement because I'm loving it. It's just like one of those like really fun, silly, goofy reads. You know what I mean? Just a silly, goofy read. And plus it takes place in the fall time. Like it's like coming up, I think we're in October in the book now. Like the book's like the month is October or something. Like they're talking about the end of summer, it's getting into fall. And I'm like, okay, slay. I'm gonna read this book. I also wanna go to the gym, but I want to finish this before I go to the gym, so I'm gonna get to reading. In the end, because she's a barrel racer where she's like racing, and why am I like nervous for her? Why am I nervous? There's no reason to be. I finished it. I finished Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Absolutely loved it. Loved the characters, thought their chemistry was so good. At first I thought it was like very insta-lovey, but then it kind of went into like the background a little bit more. They've like really known each other for like their whole lives basically. Well, not their whole lives, but like for a good majority of their life. So like they just have this like awkward age gap almost where they're like 5 years apart. So the time that he knew her, she was like obviously younger and he wasn't like looking at her that way. And then, you know, as he hadn't seen her for a really long time, she came back. Or like when he had seen her, it was just like glimpses of her type of thing, and like she was just there for like a day or two and things like that. So it kind of made a little bit more sense, and I was like, okay, maybe not so insta-lovey. It was more of like not even insta attraction, because she had always had an attraction to him. Anyways, I finished it. I really did like it. Like I said, I really liked the characters. I really liked the story. It was so cute, so fun, no brain power whatsoever. Does really give Chestnut Springs in a sense. So if you really like the Chestnut Springs series, then I think you'll absolutely love this Rebel Blue Ranch series. Now, I obviously haven't read the other two books. I know that the second book is out, but the third book, I don't know if that's out yet or if it's coming out soon. I don't know. But absolutely loved the book. Like I said, so fun. No brain power whatsoever. Just a jolly good time. Okay, cowboy romances, they hit so good. Yeah, I literally just like love the cover of these though, because they remind me of like old Western movies. So I'm probably gonna end up like buying this physical series because none of their stuff is on Kindle anymore, unfortunately. So that was like this is the only book in this video that you cannot read on Kindle Unlimited anymore due to the fact that it's not on there. I just so happen to have had it in my library since it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm very sorry for that. This is the only book though that is not on Kindle Unlimited. But either way, I still think that you should read it. If you don't have this book, or if you haven't read this book, you should. I know the whole point of this video is for me to like read books that are on Kindle Unlimited to recommend to you guys, so that if you guys want to read them. But like I said, I've been in my Kindle library for so long, and the fact that it was like still in there even though it wasn't on Kindle Unlimited anymore, that's a cheat. That's a cheat. So you learned something, you got something out of this video, okay? I don't know what book I'm gonna read next. I've been thinking about the one I wanna read, and I think I know which one I want to do. I don't know yet. Now, this one is kind of a cheat because I do have this book physically, as well as one that is on, like, I do have this physical book and it is on my TBR, but like I said, the whole point of this video is so that we can read books that you don't physically have, but are on Kindle Unlimited that are really popular. So, okay, so it's gonna be between A Man Called Ove, which is by Frederick Bachman, or The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Now, this is a book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, everyone has been reading lately, and I feel like this is a really good, like, fall time book because it does have a lot of magical realism in it. But A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman has also been read a lot recently. And I've never read anything by him before, but I kind of wanted the first book I read by him to be Beartown. Beartown like just has a little bit more interest to me because it is like, I'm a big hockey fan, and that book, like one of the big premises of the book is the fact that this like town's hockey team is like what's making it money essentially, or like what's helping boost this economy in this town. I really wanted that one because people love that one, but I've heard such amazing things about A Man Called Ove. And I don't know anything about that book either. I just know that it's about like a grumpy old man, and you're kind of just like learning his life story. So part of me thinks that maybe I should listen to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, or start reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This is a struggle. I don't really know what I'm in the mood for. We're gonna do A Man Called Ove. I've decided we're doing A Man Called Ove. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You look kind of crooked, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm currently listening to A Man Called, apparently it's Uwe, not Ove, which I don't know, it could just be like a pronunciation thing. Like people, like the way that they pronounce words sometimes is different. You know, does that make sense? You know, like if you have a different accent, like you pronounce a word differently, maybe it's like that, but I don't know. Like the book is narrated by J.K. Simmons, which is something I didn't know actually, and I'm actually really glad that it is narrated by him because he has such a nice voice to listen to, and I've always liked J.K. Simmons. Also, if you can hear my washing machine, not my washing machine, it's my dryer. My dryer is going right now. Maybe I should shut the door. Hold on. Okay, that should make it a little less loud. Anyways, I'm listening to A Man Called Uwe right now. I'm gonna stop because I do actually have to get ready for work. I have to be there soon. But I'm on chapter 5. We are 11% into the book already, so that's good. So far, it's interesting. Like, it's definitely an interesting story to listen to. I always get this way. I think, especially with literary fiction, I'm the type of person where, like, once I start listening to it, reading it isn't gonna be as interesting to me. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not the type of person that I feel like can go back and forth super easily. There's been a few of the books that I think I even read in this video where, like, transitioning back and forth between them was super easy. Like, I know with Lisa Jewell's, None of This Is True, I listened to and read, and that was like an easy transition for me because no matter how I was reading it or consuming it, it was just a really interesting story. I think I'm gonna like listening to this one more than physically reading it. Like, but either way, I'm enjoying it so far, so that's a good sign. Like I said, I'm getting ready for work. I'm making food right now, but I just wanted to tell you guys that I started it and that I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm only 5 chapters in, so that's it. So we're really just like getting his like backstory now of like kind of seeing the way that he is, because it literally is just about this grumpy old man, right? And right now we're just like getting like the surface level of like who Uwe is. And he's bringing up some things from like his past so you can get to know him a little bit better, but nothing like too extreme. Like, you know, he's just talking about like how like today's like common things about like how nobody wants to work, and that like he was like basically like forced into this retirement, and is like, how come like me, a valuable member of society who wants to do these things, is getting pushed out for people who literally only care about lunch. Like, that's literally something he said, and I thought that was so funny. I'm like, what the heck? But yeah, I like listening to it. I like listening to it. It's very interesting, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it ends up. Hello, you guys. I am back with another update for you. I am still reading A Man Called Ove. It's really good, okay? It's really good. And I think it's like, I have never read anything by Frederick Bachman before, and so far, like, my thought is like, I cannot believe that he is able to make me so interested in a story just about this grumpy old man living his day-to-day life. How, like, what are you putting in your words that is like making me so interested? To tell you the truth, like, realistically, like, why would I be interested in just a story about a grumpy old man? You know what I mean? Like, what about it would make me interested? And I'm trying to think, like, so the information I want to tell you, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. At first sight, Ove is almost certainly the grumpiest man you will ever meet. He thinks himself surrounded by idiots, neighbors who can't reverse a trailer properly, joggers, shop assistants who talk in code, and the perpetrators of the vicious coup d'etat that ousted him as chairman of the Residents Association. He will persist in making his daily inspection rounds of the local streets, but isn't it rare these days to find such an old-fashioned clarity of belief and deed, such unswerving conviction about what the world should be, and a lifelong dedication to making it just so. In the end, you will see there is something about Ove that is quite irresistible. I'm assuming that's the entire back of it. I have no idea. That's just literally what Goodreads says. So the information I want to tell you, I feel like would be a spoiler, so I don't want to say anything. In the beginning of the book, when it starts out, he kind of starts out telling you information. You don't really realize like where this information is coming from or what it's doing. I'm trying to be vague because even on the back it doesn't say this, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to read it because it's genuinely very, very good. I've been listening to the audiobook though, and I've absolutely loved the audiobook, but I am currently in Spotify jail. I can no longer listen to it, unfortunately, but I was really enjoying it, and J.K. Simmons does an amazing job. Part of me kind of wishes that like it was Tom Hanks because Tom Hanks plays him in the movie, but I absolutely love J.K. Simmons doing it as well. His life kind of gets uprooted by his like new neighbors in a sense. You know, he does his day-to-day stuff like I was talking about, like he does his daily inspection, and like literally he gets up every single day, goes and does his daily inspection. All of a sudden it's almost like his routine is interrupted. Everything that he's doing is now, like I keep saying, interrupted by these neighbors and like things that just keep happening and popping up. It's a really beautiful story so far, and you can kind of see already, I mean, I'm 60% into the book. You can kind of see like the real subtle changes in Ove, where like he's still who he is. He's still this grumpy old man. Like he's coming to like be okay with these people that are here, you know, interrupting his day-to-day life. Obviously annoys him. It's so interesting, and I'm just like, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm really bad at like describing books in words and like word retrieval and stuff like that, so like when I'm thinking about it I can't think of the word. Writing is very, very good. Like while I'm physically reading it, I tend to get a little bit lost, but that's just because of me personally. I don't think it has anything to do with his writing, because the story itself, he's an amazing storyteller. So I think that's really helped me so far, and that's what's gonna help me finish this book, because like I said, I'm 60% of the way in. I'm on chapter 24, and realistically it's not even like much of his life that we've gone through. Like I think it's been maybe 3 or 4 days that we've seen into his life. So anyways, that is my update for you guys. While I was listening to it, I was like cleaning and like went to the grocery store and like really just like honed in on listening to this book, because I really wanted to listen to it while I was like doing other things, because I was baking as well and just things that are important right now. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna continue reading it now, and then it's gonna be time for dinner soon. But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to update you on that I'm really, really enjoying this book, and I'm actually really hoping that I finish it tonight. I think I can. I'm on page 206, and there's 344 pages in this book. I think I can finish it tonight. I have faith in myself that I can do that. So we'll see. Alright, you guys, I just finished A Man Called Ove, or Ova, whatever you guys want to call it, and it was like towards the end it just gets so heartwarming and heartfelt, and it's honestly a really good read if you're someone who really loves just like a very subtle change in a person over time, and then just like reading this really heartwarming story. This is definitely, I think, for you. I really, really liked it. I think just the story, like it just like come to like love who this person is despite all of like his flaws and like the grumpiness of him, of being an old man. And like he clearly states, he's like, I've never, you know, people are like, oh my god, you're acting so different lately, and he was just like, I'm not acting different, like this is just, you know, the way I've always been, and more people are just engaging with me now despite, you know, some of the flaws that he has of being just like a grumpy man, you know. It was really, really wonderful. I really, really liked it. I highly recommend, honestly, people read this, because I don't like, I just like can't see why anyone wouldn't enjoy this book. Like, it genuinely is such a like heartfelt story of like, you know, just this man of being who he is, living his life the way he wants to live it, and people coming around and seeing and accepting for who he is and still loving him. Even though like none of it's bad, it's just the way that he comes across. Like, he's definitely not a neurotypical person, which is why I think so many people were so like taken back by his like demeanors and stuff like that, and like didn't necessarily understand like why, you know, he was so grumpy all the time, why he was that way towards people. And it was just like he was very stuck in his ways. He wasn't neurotypical. He had his routines, and the way he wanted things to be were very specific, and like he was very much like a stickler for the rules. Like, and he was like not apologetic about it at all. He was like, this is just who I am, and that's it. It was really beautiful to see like all these people who came into his life to love and see him for who he is and accept him for that. That's all I'm gonna say on it now. With that being said, this is basically coming to the end of our video. Let me pull up my Goodreads so I can look at all the books that I read in this video, because I don't remember. I surpassed my reading challenge though, my reading goal for this year, which was 80 books, and I'm at 81. Well, first we started with Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. Like I said, I just like counted this book in this video. Like, I had already started reading it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna count it in here because I have been wanting to read it. I know a lot of other people have read this book, really liked it, so I just kind of included it as I was finishing it up. It doesn't like stick in my brain though heavily at all. Like, don't remember too much about it. Like, I remember things about it. I really did like the two main characters together, and I remember things about West, the main female character. I don't really remember too much about her at all. I just remember that her name was Skylar and that she was a pop star, and that was kind of it. That she came to Rose Hills so that she could record an album and kind of get away from the life that she has had. And yeah, that's about it. And of course they start mowing or whatever they're doing. So if you can hear that, I apologize greatly. We're gonna ignore it. Okay, because I really gotta finish this video. But in the end, I think I ended up rating this one a 4 stars, I think. But yeah, I ended up rating this one like either it was a 3.75 or just a straight up 4 stars. Usually I would have made a comment if I made it like a 0.75 or 0.25 or something like that. Honestly, thinking back on it now, I would probably lower it a little bit. I definitely liked this one way more than I liked Wild Love. I just like didn't like love it as much as like other people I feel like have loved it. I don't know, maybe it's just because it's not living up to like the Chestnut Springs vibes, but I liked it though. I liked it better than the first one. I have also been loving me a cowboy romance. Okay, if they're a cowboy, sign me up. Sign me up, okay? I've just been loving me a cowboy romance. The next book I ended up reading was Night Road by Kristen Hanna. This is definitely not one of her like most popular books, I feel like. I don't know like how recent this book is. I actually ended up listening to it and reading it simultaneously through the Kindle Unlimited app, which is a really cool feature that you can do now. Again, I really liked this one. I actually ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. Haven't like really thought about it recently, but like the feeling I got while listening and reading it, I was like literally so captivated by what was going on. Like, I genuinely was feeling the emotions along with the characters. I just like it genuinely like made me feel things that like other books don't normally do. Like, literally I was like laying in bed like ranting to Michael about this book because I was like, I just can't believe that this is what's going on, and like, are you kidding me? Like, how can this be happening right now? It literally was making me so angry, but then it also was like so sad during some parts. And then also like listening to it, I was just like it was so good. Like, the writing, the storytelling capabilities, the way that she made everything like literally come into one, it was just so good, you guys. Okay, like I really enjoyed this one. Like, some of the reviews I saw on Goodreads, a lot of people like just like didn't like it, but like to me, I was like, this book is great. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I absolutely loved it. I loved listening to it. I think if I had started actually reading it, I wouldn't have been as into it as when I was listening to it. So I started by listening and then got, you know, in between started reading. You guys know what I'm saying. You know exactly what I'm saying. I listened to it and I physically read it. I'm glad I started by listening because I wouldn't have been into it as much as I was. So yeah, I definitely highly recommend listening to this book if you can. I just think like the story is like a good one to listen to. It really showcases like everyone's struggles and like regrets and like sadness that they feel during like certain times. You guys should know what it was about because I did talk about it. I know I did talk about it. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. I really liked it, and I thought the story was like almost like very, in a way, realistic to like what does happen in life. In some ways, there's obviously some ways that make it more dramatized and make it more like so you're attached to it and like drawn to the things that are happening. But like the overarching story, I feel like is very realistic in like what could happen and what does happen with some people. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. Next up, we have A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. Again, this was a really good book and I really liked it. I had been wanting to read this book and now I really want to go and read her other book that's on Kindle Unlimited because I love this one so much. I did guess what was going to happen like right away. Like there was one thing that happened in the book and I said, oh, I know exactly what's happening. But she does do a good job of like kind of making you second guess your first thought, because she did do that to me where I was like, I know what's gonna happen, but then she brought in this other thing that I was like, oh, maybe that's not what's gonna happen, and really like steered you away from what actually was happening, which I really liked. So in like some instances when I can guess like the plot of the book, I really like seeing how things are gonna unfold. Like if I guess like the plot twist or whatever, sometimes I don't like it. Like sometimes I'm literally like, bro, like what was the point of me reading this if I knew exactly how it was gonna play out? But with this one where I did guess right away, but it was more of like, okay, let me keep reading to see how this is gonna play out and like what's gonna happen, make this all come together. And that's something I really did like about this book. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're someone who like guesses very easily, I want to say that you'll probably guess this one pretty easily as well. I just really liked the way that the story kind of unfolded and like made everything happen, if that makes sense. Like it was really fast paced, super quick, super entertaining. I was engaged the whole time. Really liked it. So yeah, I ended up giving this one again a 4 stars. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it at a 4 stars. I might knock it down to like a 3.75 because like I said, I did guess it. All in all, I still like this book. It's definitely one that I would recommend if you're looking for a really quick, fast paced like mystery read. Next up, I read The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. This one I'm gonna give, I think, a 3.3 stars or a 3.25 stars. I'm not exactly sure yet. I really did like this one, and I actually think that this book in particular would make like a great film. There's a lot of magical realism within this book, and it's there when you don't even notice that it's there. Like she does a really good job of like not making you see it like as this obvious thing. It's more of just like this legit like magical element that you don't know why it's there. It's just there. But yeah, this was like a really good fun read. Very much enjoyed the two timelines and like how they ended up connecting to each other. Like it was like not something I guessed until like kind of the very end of how they were going to connect, because I was like, oh my god, like that's like I should have suspected that that's the way it was going to happen. It wasn't until like I want to say like 75% into the book where obviously again a situation happened where I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it's going to be. You would think I would have guessed that earlier on in the book, kind of the way that she was doing things, but no, I didn't. And I just really liked it. This was like really magical book. I really enjoyed all of the characters because they all like brought something different. It's a really interesting story, especially if you love books. If you're someone who loves classic literature and like reading about these things, because they have like all the tales of like Emily Bronte and Ernest Hemingway, or if that's how you said her name. I could have said it wrong. I've never looked up anything by her, read anything by her. They talk about so many like classic authors. So if that's something you absolutely love, then I highly recommend this book. Next up, I read Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I'm not going to talk about this one much. I gave this one a 2.5 stars. 2.75 stars. I literally couldn't tell you if I'm just dumb or if it's just the writing style. I think I'm just dumb. I did not understand this book at all, but they're both mentally ill people who end up like falling in love, and it's classified as a love story. And I get like love stories don't all have the same like formula and shape, and like the way people fall in love is very different. But this one just like didn't make sense to me. Like I literally was like, what is going on the entire time? Like I had no idea. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that one anymore. Next up, I read Dead and Dusted. I absolutely love this book. This was so good. I loved it. I had such a fun time. It was such a quick read. I literally, my battery's flashing. Oh my gosh. Okay, I loved it. So good. Loved both of the characters. Like Luke Brooks, loved him. Okay, loved Luke. I ended up rating this one a 4 stars. Solid 4 stars, honestly. Like I can't wait to read the rest of the series, honestly. Like sign me up. Sign me up for a Rebel Blue Ranch. I think that's what it's called. Blue Rebel Ranch? Rebel Blue? I don't know. Something like that. Sign me the heck up. okay? Also can't wait for Gus and her best friend Teddy's book. I'm pretty positive they are getting a book. Like, why wouldn't they? Like, I feel like that's very obvious. Ended up rating it 4 stars, solid, loved it. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. Because what else is there to say? Other than the fact that I loved it and I love both of the characters. And I related to the female main character a lot in like some of the situations. I talked about it. And then lastly, I read A Man Called Ove, which I just talked about. I absolutely loved. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. I'm gonna give this one a solid 4 stars. I think I liked listening to it a lot more than I think physically reading it until the very end where I was physically reading it. There was a parts that made me laugh. I did not tear up, but I did like get a little teary in my eye at the end. But yeah, no, I really did like this one. I thought it was so interesting, and I do think that it's like a good read for everybody, like especially if you want to listen to it, because it's really captivating when you listen to it. That is it. That is it for 7 Kindle books. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you've been here for this entire time, because I know this video was long, thank you so much. I really thank you for your support, and don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias, as well as subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.